There was a lot of frustration, but we've got something now, so we're going to look at it, go over it. I've not had a chance to look at it properly because obviously the show's on tonight. But once we can look at it, we can then make some decisions. But there's going to be some toing and froing. There's no doubt about that. There will be some toing and froing, but it has to come to a head.
I mean, it's creeping into May this weekend, so...
Well, it's not going to happen in July. That's a nonsense. That's not going to that fight never going to happen in July. And the intention is from the people who, well, not just from the people who want to, who we're negotiating with, but also with the, with certainly as far as Tyson's concerned, want to get the fight on in August, no later than August. So that's what we're all working towards, and I hope it can be resolved. But it's, we're a way off yet.
What's good, family? So smash the like button and subscribe. So we just heard there from Frank Fish Eyes Warren. Now, I know there's some cats out there who will hear this and think, oh, YB mate, it's on mate. I'm telling you, listen. I spoke to some people close to Fish Eyes and they're telling me, listen to what he's actually saying. Fish Eyes got the contract, but even though he hasn't looked at it, the language he used was, there's a number of issues. We've still got to go back and forth, but there's a number of issues that still need to be resolved. He hasn't even looked at the thing. What does that tell you? Oh, he also says, oh, I hope they can be resolved, but we just don't know, and there's a whole load of things that need to be done still. I was under the impression from Ern Hearn that it's about to be locked in this week. Fish Eyes, Bob Arum, all them man there, they don't want this fight. They don't want it. And it's now May. This fight was supposed to happen in June. Do you remember that? It wasn't so long ago. The fight was supposed to happen in June. And now you got Fury saying, Fury just come out, got another exclusive video about to leak to you, man. The YB is about to leak another exclusive video to you, man. You got Fury saying, oh, this fight was supposed to be done in February, and I was supposed to be fighting in May, June. Now it's September. This thing is being dragged out so long. Fury has got a built-in excuse. All of Fish Eyes, all their man, just ain't lining up. And I hate to sound like I'm banging a dead drum here, but I'm just trying to tell you, man, what it is. I'm trying to give you, man, the drop. People close to Frank are telling me, YB, I can't, my lips are sealed, but just listen to what Fish Eyes is saying. He didn't even bother looking at the contract, but we know there's issues in there. Oh, we know there's issues. We know that we need to go back and forth, and hopefully it will get it resolved. But there's still loads of things to do. How do you know there's loads? How do you know it isn't Kushti if you haven't looked at it? And I think what my links are trying to say is, without being blatant, I think what they're getting at is, like, life's about attitude. Life is about how you approach. Certainly business. Certainly trying to get a good big business contract done. A lot of it's about the attitude you approach said negotiations with. And if you're approaching a negotiation with, oh, we've got loads of issues and hopefully we'll get them resolved, but we just don't know, and what kind of attitude is that? Why couldn't Frank have said, yep, they got the contract in the thing, and I'm sure I'll look at it this weekend, and any little holes will get nailed out and it'll be on. He's never once said that. It's always been, oh, well, hopefully we can get it done, but I'm not sure, and oh, there's loads of little kinks, and we're going to have to go, I know it's not going to be finished now, we're going to have to go back and forth. All this kind of business. What's the need for this constant... Frank and Team Fury are constantly... What's the word? They're constantly underselling it to the fans. They're constantly limiting expectations. Does that make sense? You never hear from Frank or Bob Arum, even when they lie to us and say things like, oh yeah, believe me, we want the fight. And in fact, whenever Frank Warren has said, oh, believe me, we all want this fight, it will never end there. It'll always be something like, oh, believe me, we want this fight, but there's still loads of little things to go back and forth on. We've still got issues that are unresolved. Why is he constantly reducing expectations of the fans? There's a reason for that, is what I'm hearing. I'm hearing the reason for it is because it won't be a shock to no one. And we're not even sure at this point. My sources close to Fish Eyes, Frank Warren, are telling me that we're not even sure at this point that he knows this fight ain't going to happen. Like, categorically speaking, absolutely. We're not sure at this point whether Team Fury have absolutely decided not to do the fight, but subconsciously listen to their language. It's almost like Fury is keeping them on the lurch. Is Fury going to do it? Is Fury not going to do it? That's the feeling I'm getting now. I'm not actually... Initially, I thought it was one big scam, that the whole of Team Fury were behind. But the more I speak to my links, they're telling me that, listen, this might not even have nothing to do with Frank and Bob directly. These issues are likely actually coming solely from Fury himself, which does make sense, because I've always told you, man, to Bob Arum and Fish Eyes, Fury is just a big payday. It don't make a scrap of difference to them. In fact, if anything, this AJ fight, win or lose, is the best thing possible, because it's the biggest payday. It's no good rolling you out to fight Wilder, potentially lose, and then you could have got 10 times more to lose to AJ anyway. And I've been saying from the start of this process, I don't understand why Fish Eyes and Bob Arum are so negative. Because they're in a win-win. The only way they need to be so negative is because the conversations they're having between them and Fury aren't good, which therefore leads them into the public-facing interviews, and they're reducing expectations subconsciously. They don't even know how it's appearing, how it's coming across. What they're doing is they're having private conversations with Fury that are so negative, they're then projecting this negativity to the public, and they don't even understand how it comes across. All they're doing is basically relaying what's going on behind closed doors. And if you man don't believe me, if you man don't believe in psychology and whatnot, just look at the contrast. Look at the contrast between Eddie Hearn and AJ's relationship. That there, if anything, is the definitive proof of what's going on behind closed doors. Behind closed doors, AJ's gassing Eddie Hearn up. Yes, do it. We want this fight. And how is Eddie Hearn projecting publicly? He's projecting exactly AJ's energy, all positive. Conversely, we've got Fury. Now, Fury publicly comes out like he wants it, but really, that video he put out, where he said, "Oh, Anthony Joshua, oh, his tall stuff." The minute I heard Fury mouthing off, in many people's minds, they took that as, oh yeah, he wants to fight. But for me, that smelt fishy. The minute I heard Fury mouthing off, in my mind, it come across to me as if Fury had got the go-ahead on fighting two bums. That's the feeling I got. The minute listen, we haven't heard Fury mouth off yet. All we've heard Fury say is, "Oh, I'm mentally tired. Oh," that's all we've heard. Him crying and whining about something for 5 months, and all of a sudden, the minute we start hearing some murmurs of how he's going to fight twice this year, it's going to be two bums. All of a sudden, he's on the blower, gassing the place up about how AJ's stiff and he's going to maul AJ. Where has all that excitement and energy come from? Out of nowhere. I'll tell you where that energy and excitement's come from. That energy and excitement's come from him, Fish Eyes and Bob Arum deciding behind closed doors to go in a different direction to the AJ fight. Because when Fury was strictly linked with AJ, there weren't a bit of excitement in his voice. There weren't a bit of energy. He needed time off. He was sending his camp home. He needed a rest. Now all of a sudden, he's rushing to the gym to get into camp, and many people have taken that as a signal that, oh look, YB, you're lying. YB, Fury's in Vegas. Look, he's training. He must want the AJ fight. What you man don't realise is my sources close to the situation are telling me that really Fury's training to fight two bums. That's why he's in the gym. He's got two bums this year that he needs to prepare for, not AJ. And I hate to break it to you, man, when you start adding it all up, if Fury's recent positive energy was directed at AJ, why are his promoters not feeding that back? Because trust me, when AJ has positive energy, Eddie Hearn feeds it back. I'll tell you why. Because Fury's energy isn't related to AJ. That's not energy that he's mentally putting in towards AJ. He's now He's now relieved. That's what you call relief energy. Have you ever had some big pressure on your life? Some big stress event coming up, and for some reason the stress event gets resolved, and it's like a massive weight lifted off your shoulders. But not only is the massive weight lifted off, also you're filled with this big, like, it's almost, for example, when you finished your last exam, and you think, oh, you're full of energy and life. That's what I feel like. No joke. That's what Fury looks like to me. For the last 5 months, he's had this massive 250-pound inside fighting machine weight on his shoulders called AJ. I'm hearing Fury, Bob Arum and Frank Warren have now locked him in to a 2-fight bum contract this year. Is it coincidence? I hear that news and then Fury comes out ranting and raving and all excited. He hasn't been a bit excited about anything. In fact, again, to the contrary. Oh, I'm mentally tired. Oh, I need a rest. Oh, giving it all that. Yeah? You man can decide. All I know is, Fish Eyes, Bob Arum, stay projecting this negative thing. You haven't even looked at the contract and you're worrying about issues you don't even know are there. How did you know? You said you hadn't looked at it. So how do you know there's a whole load of issues that need to be resolved? And, oh, I hope they'll be resolved, but we just don't know. What kind of attitude is that? Oh, we've got issues. I hope they can be resolved, but we just don't know. There's a defeatist attitude. Where's it coming from? Because from a promoter's point of view, you're meant to be yes men. You're meant to be, yes, no matter what happens, Fury's told me to get this fight done. So whatever concessions we need to make or whatever, we're going to do it. That's what AJ's brief's been. AJ gave Eddie Hearn the brief, get this fight done. I don't care what concessions you need to make. If we have to give up 50-50, which AJ did, do it. But for some reason, Fish Eyes and Bob Arum have never been given that mandate. Their mandate's been, well, I'm only going to do the fight if it's on the moon. And that's why Team Fury ain't never committing even a little bit. Let's see anyway. Eddie Hearn said end of the week again. I'm telling you now, I'm drawing the line in the sand right now. And this will be the last time I do it. I'm drawing the line in the sand right now. If this fight isn't done by Monday morning, this coming Monday morning, it's now Tuesday morning. If this isn't done by Monday morning, it's off. It's not happening. I'm drawing the line in the sand right now. Monday morning is the deadline. Simple as that. No doubt. In fact, no, Monday night. Because sometimes they like to announce on Monday night. We'll give it to Monday night. So basically, just under a week. 6.5 days. If it's not done in 6.5 days, it's not happening. I'm telling you, man, now for free. No doubt.